Welcome to episode 3 of Stace Time. Just a heads up, the dialogue quickly becomes more interwoven and complex, so I'll link back to episodes 1 and 2 at the end of this video. If you've already watched them, you can see how the Synchronicities of 1995 effectively define synchronicity itself as a language that allows us to communicate with the other intelligence, or G in brackets. What I had experienced so far with Chomsky, the Pleiades, and Inman left me with no doubt that the dialogue was very real. But after Inman, I still had questions. Who or what was this other intelligence? Where was it from? And where was it between synchronicities? Well, I'd soon find out, but I really had to pay attention. In 1997, I spent a couple of weeks experiencing the crop circles in southern England, but I'd have to wait until the year 2000 for another circle here in the States. Each one of the 7 circles I've been to here in the States brought more exquisite synchronicity, and that's far too much to get into in this brief video, but I promise I'll get to it eventually. Now, when I began plotting the circles on a map, this triangle jumped out at me. It connected the Inman Circle with 2 other crop circle locations in Langdon, North Dakota and Teton, Idaho. Now, of course, triangles are common when you connect 3 places, but the equilateral triangle is a symbol, and I knew that its meaning was there for me to find. I began calling these flat map alignments, or FMAs for short, and as you'll see, they contribute another layer of undeniable meaning to this dialogue. At the same time, I knew that the method of analysis was unorthodox, even unscientific. Plotting points from a curved surface on a flat map? Well, that's going to result in some distortion. For instance, the triangle's vertices on a flat map add up to 180 degrees, but on a sphere, those vertices can be extended to as much as 270 degrees. Well, nonetheless, these geometries carry information pertinent to the dialogue. Besides, this was before Google Earth, so flat maps are what we had to work with. So the other intelligence was wise indeed to use these flat maps as a writing surface for the alignments to come. Stick with it. I promise these FMAs deliver. The crop circles and synchronicity points eventually become the basis for this. So you know it's gotta be good. Back to the triangle though. Again, on a spherical map, the points would appear differently, but on the flat map, with just a little effort and a few straight lines, the images rise like the activation of invisible ink. First, we get the tip line, and then the triangle. And next, very importantly, we notice that the triangle's top edge is parallel to the tip line. Now, I understand the triangle to represent our 3D reality, and the tip line represents the other intelligence in a parallel other dimension. So it made perfect sense that they're connected at Inman, the place of the transceiver in humans. Thus, this FMA synchronicity, or map glyph if you will, addressed my questions about the who and the how of synchronicity. Sometime later, I was doing some research and I Googled conjecture, the act of surmising, and my results included the Anglo-American Encyclopedia and Dictionary from 1904. Now, I love old books, so I selected it and I'm taken to the designated page. It's quite a volume. The Suriname toad there eventually plays a kind of comical role in all of this. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now, after getting what I needed from that first stop, I wanted to look at some other pages. So when I moved the cursor a little bit and I stopped, I landed on page 3999 and the illustration for tangent. The circle with lines running tangent to it immediately reminded me of the triangle alignments map with its triangle resting on the tip line. The tip line, which appears to be a one-dimensional or 1D brane, that's B-R-A-N-E by the way, which is a scientific term short for membrane, is tangent to the triangle. So again, the tip line, which appears to be a one-dimensional or 1D brane, is tangent to the triangle. Now I moved the cursor again and it stopped at page 4047 and this tetrahedron. Talk about timing. Here's where it gets a little more complex, but stay with it because the overlaying of tangent and tetrahedron with the existing FMAs brings out much more detail. Here the tetrahedron represents our 3 spatial dimensions, as well as the 2D triangle projected into 3D. Now this is a clear nod to the triangle alignments map connected to the tip line, and it makes it a true symbol for interdimensional communication between our 3D reality and the other parallel dimension. I believe, in fact, that it's the evidence of another dimension that science has been searching for a long, long time. Just one more thing. Let's go back to the landing page where I went looking for Surmision. Ironically, here's the Suriname toad with perfect frogs bursting through the membrane on her back. Quite resonant, I think, with the dialogue, since the tangent line is a 1D brain. And does anyone else here, as above, so below? Maybe even an echo of in our own image? Of course, adages and proverbs have come up often in the Synchronicities, but again, future episodes. Next time, we'll lighten it up a little with a retelling of my visit from an ancient goddess speaking an unknown language, and the extreme synchronicities that led me years later to the translation and source of her words. Thanks for watching.